Good morning to all. Welcome back to today's physics class, and today we are going to start a new chapter in physics and its name is time and motion. According to your textbook, it will be your 13th chapter. Okay. So, in life we are doing various kinds of activities, right? And all these activities will be on the basis of time. For example, when we are eating the breakfast, it will be mostly in the morning time, right? And lunch, and you have a particular time to go school when you are coming to the school, and there will be each and every period there will set time interval, right? Like 14 minutes and all. And for recess, lunch break and intervals like this, all those things, means what all the activities we are doing, all those things are going smoothly on the basis of time, right? Yes, when we are going to the bird, or when we wake up in the morning, all those things are directly or indirectly we are looking the, means sometimes when we woke up we look the clock and what was the timing and all those things we are measuring. Okay, so this to know about the time, mainly with the help of, we are knowing about the time with the help of clock and watches, right? And but the ancient peoples, means how does the time measured in our ancient people or our ancestors? Okay, and that time there was not clock or watches like that things. So how they measure the time? They measure the time mainly by using or on the basis of natural phenomena, means some of the natural phenomena which repeated in regular interval of time, right? So on the basis of that natural phenomena, they, what they done, they measure the time. Okay, so when we are considering the measurement of times, some examples we can learn now. Okay, so in our that ancestors, they used some of the natural, means they on the basis of the time taken by the natural phenomena, some of the natural phenomena they repeated in regular interval of time. On the basis of that, they can able to measure the time. For example, they calculated a day, they calculated the time taken for the sunrise to next sunrise, that is that they are considering one day. The time taken for one sunrise to next sunrise, that is actually one day, they calculated one day. Okay, and secondly, how they calculated the month. Okay, on the basis of the formation of new moon day to the next new moon day, that period, that time period is considered as 1 month. And how they calculated 1 year? They calculated the 1 year on the basis of the earth's complete, means earth means when in the case of earth, it completes one rotation around the sun. So that time period is considered as 1 year. Okay, so in this case, these all those things like sunrise, moon day formation and rotation of earth around the sun, all those things are natural phenomena and it repeated in a regular interval of time, right? On that basis, these our ancestors are able to measure the time, because that time there was no devices for measuring like clock and watches, such kind of devices are not there for measuring the time. Okay, and they are and afterwards, means they means afterwards what happens, they find out some more other devices to measure the time. So its example is like sundial, and at the same time in this picture also you can see that sundial, sand clock, water clock, these are the some of the ancient devices to measure the time. Okay, and here in your textbook also you can see that do you know, means Jantar Mandir in Jaipur, there also like this kinds of biggest, one of the biggest sundial which is present in the means when we consider about the Jantar Mandir, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Okay, so that's all about the measurement of time by our ancestors. But when we are considering time, means they measure the time, they measure the time on the basis of the repetition, means natural phenomena which is repeated in a regular interval of time. On that basis, they measure day, month and year. So less than that, in a day, that hours, that all the things we need to measure. Okay, so that time what happens now, afterwards, after a long period later, like this kinds of watches and clocks invented, and it is why we need to invent them, because we should measure the time shorter than a day. Okay, for that reason we invented, or mainly these clocks and watches they are discovered. Okay, means it years back, means when we consider about ancestors, they are using this natural phenomena, and afterwards they find sundials like these things. Then, but that is not sufficient. Why? Because we need to measure a short span of time also. For that we can use clock and watches. And this clock and watches works on the principle. In physics, when we are considering time, each and every devices, they should have a working principle. For example, when we are discussing about heat and its effects chapter, we learn that the working principle of thermometer, expansion of liquids on heating, is the basic principle of thermometer. The same way, the watches which works on the basis of periodic motion. What is periodic motion? The motion which repeated in a regular interval of time, right? So we can say that the movement of hour arm and movement of second and movement of pendulum of the clock, these all are like periodic motion. It repeated, that motion repeated in a regular interval of time. Okay, so these watches or clocks, these all works on the principle of what? Periodic motion. What is periodic motion? The motion which repeated in a regular interval of time. And now we are going to learn about a simple device which is its working is actually on the basis of what? Periodic motion. That instrument is considered a simple pendulum. A simple device which works on the principle of periodic motion, and its name is simple pendulum. It is one of the important thing, simple pendulum. Okay, when we consider about simple pendulum, what is simple pendulum? A simple pendulum, it consists of a metal ball. Okay, metal ball suspended from a rigid support. And here, when we are considering about simple pendulum, we can consider like this. Okay, so this is the string. Okay, a small metal bob tied with a string, and it is here a rigid support. This we can consider as a rigid support. Okay, so this is the simple pendulum. A simple pendulum which works on the principle of periodic motion. What is periodic motion? The motion which repeated in a regular interval of time. So when we consider about the simple pendulum, I told you that it contains a metallic bob. Okay, this is a metallic bob. Okay, and this motion, now we can discuss the motion. And when we take this to left side and when we are leaving, so what will happen? It will move to and fro motion. There is a to and fro motion. Okay, so that we can consider how does it will be. So here we were considering the pendulum like motion, or when we are taking it one of the extreme position. So like this, when we are consider the point, this we can consider A, and this is B and C. This A or this bob, when we are taken to the left, then we leave it. Then what will happen? It will move to and fro motion. Okay, so that motion will repeated in a regular interval of time. Like this simple pendulum, it's like a pendulum clock you might be seen. Okay, in pendulum clock, that pendulum will move to and fro. Okay, so the same way this simple pendulum also will move. Okay, when we are considering this simple pendulum, we can say that, or when we are considering, I already told you that it contains a metallic bob, and that metallic ball, or say metallic ball, it is considered as bob. Okay, and this is a string, and it is tied with an, or it is supported with an, or that attached with a rigid support. Okay, so when we are considering this simple pendulum, some of the terms related to simple pendulum, that only we are going to discuss now. First term is length. Okay, length of the pendulum. First term which is related by simple pendulum is length of the pendulum. Length of the pendulum is this point. When we consider the length of this string from the top to middle of this middle of the bob, that is considered as what? Length of the pendulum. Okay, the terms related to simple pendulum. First term is length. Okay, length means that the distance from the rigid support to the middle. Okay, so length of the bob or length of the pendulum is the length from the point of suspension, this point to the middle of the bob. That is considered as length of the pendulum. Okay, first one is length of the pendulum. Length of the pendulum from the point of suspension of the string to the middle of the bob. And second one is mean position. Okay, mean position is nothing. It is actually the rest position of the bob. Okay, it is the rest position of bob. Here the rest position is A. Rest position is A, and the rest position of the bob is considered as what? Mean position. Rest position of the bob is considered as mean position. Are you clear? The rest position, that time the bob is not moving, it will be in rest. So the rest position is considered as what? Rest position is considered as mean position. Okay. And next one, third one is extreme position. Extreme position. Extreme position means that the maximum displacement of bob. That means this B and C is the extreme position. That means the bob is moved maximum from the rest position or mean position. That is considered as what? Extreme position. In this figure, AB and AC are the extreme position. Fourth point is oscillation. Fourth point is oscillation. Oscillation means that when we consider this oscillation, oscillation is the to and fro movement of the bob is considered as oscillation. For example, if we consider this bob starts from A, movement or that bob, it starts to move. When its motion starts from A, then what will happen? It will go B, then from B it will come to C, then again it come back to A. So this is considered as one oscillation. This is considered as one oscillation. Oscillation is one to and fro movement. Okay, one to and fro movement is considered as oscillation, which means that from the bob A, it's going to B, then it went to C, then it again come back to A. So that is considered as one oscillation. That is considered as one oscillation. One to and fro means the to and fro motion of the bob is considered as oscillation, and the oscillation means we can consider this to and fro motion from A to B, B to C and C to A. So that one oscillation, that is considered as one oscillation. And our fifth point is amplitude. Fifth point is amplitude. Amplitude means that the maximum displacement of the bob from its mean position. We already learned about extreme position. So amplitude is also the maximum displacement of the bob from either of the position. Okay, any one. When we consider AB, this is the maximum displacement of the bob is at B point. Okay, so the maximum displacement of the bob from the mean position is considered as what? Amplitude. Amplitude is the maximum displacement of the bob from the mean position. That maximum displacement is considered as what? Amplitude. Okay, so that's all about amplitude. And sixth point is time period. Sixth point is time period. Time period is denoted by the capital letter T and capital letter T. Okay, capital letter T. And time period is the time for one oscillation. Time taken by the simple pendulum to complete one oscillation is considered as what? Time period. Time period is the time taken by the simple pendulum to complete one oscillation. Okay, so that is considered as time period. And last term which is related to this simple pendulum is frequency. Last term which related to the simple pendulum is frequency. Frequency means that the number of oscillation which completes in 1 second. Number of oscillation, either 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 like this. Number of oscillation completes in 1 second is considered as time period, and we can say that this frequency is the reciprocal of time period. Frequency is the reciprocal of time period. Frequency is the reciprocal of time period. So that's all about the terms related to simple pendulum once again. And this time period, its unit is frequency unit is hertz. H said, capital letter H and small, and here like this we are writing this set. Then in the case of time period, it measured by the unit second, small letter s. Okay, so that's all about the terms related to simple pendulum. Why we need to discuss about simple pendulum? Simple pendulum is a simple device which is based on the principle of periodic motion. That's why we are discussing about the concept simple pendulum.
A simple pendulum. A simple pendulum consists of a metallic ball called bob, hung by a perfectly inextensible and weightless string. When a bob is at rest position in a straight line, it is in its mean position. When the bob is displaced from its mean position and then released, it makes to and fro movement about its mean position. If the pendulum moves from one extreme position to the other and back to the first, it is said to have performed one oscillation. Time period. The time period of a simple pendulum is defined as the time required by the pendulum to complete one oscillation. Frequency. The frequency of the simple pendulum is defined as the number of oscillations performed per unit time. The length of a simple pendulum is the length from the point of suspension from the center of the ball. Let us perform an experiment to observe that the time period varies with the length of the pendulum. Number 1. Suspend the bob by a perfectly inextensible and weightless string. Number 2. Measure the length of the string from point of suspension and the center of the bob. Number 3. Gently pull the bob pendulum from one extreme end in such a way that it moves from one extreme position to the other and back to the first. Number 4. Take a stopwatch and record the time a pendulum takes to complete 10 oscillations. Number 5. Time period of simple pendulum will be time taken to complete 10 oscillations divided by number of oscillations. Number 6. Repeat the process with different length of pendulum. Number 7. Plot the graph with time on x-axis and length on y-axis. You will get a curve graph. Number 9. From this graph, we infer that time period varies with the length of the pendulum.
Okay, and the terms related to simple pendulum. First term is length of the pendulum. Length of the pendulum is the length from the point of suspension to the middle of the bob is considered as length of the pendulum, and usually it's denoted by the letter L. Okay, then second one is mean position. Mean position of the is the rest position of the bob. Mean position is the rest position of the bob. Then extreme position. Extreme position is the maximum movement of the bob from the mean position. That is considered as what? Extreme position. Then what is oscillation? The to and fro motion of the bob is considered as oscillation. To and fro motion of the bob is considered as oscillation. When we consider that, we can analyze this. When the bob from the rest position, if it move B, then again C, then come back to B. So that is considered as one oscillation. Oscillation means the to and fro motion of the bob. This motion, to and fro, like an swing. Okay. Then next one is amplitude. Amplitude is the maximum displacement of the bob from the mean position is considered as what? Amplitude. Then time period. Time period is the time taken by the bob to complete, or the time period is the time taken by the bob to complete one oscillation. One oscillation means the time for A to B, B to C and C to A. That is considered as what? Time period. Then it is that we can measure by using the unit seconds. Then last one is frequency. Frequency is the, what is frequency? Frequency is the number of oscillation which completes in 1 second. Number of oscillation completes in 1 second, and the frequency is the reciprocal of time period, and it is measured by the unit hertz. Okay, so that's all about simple pendulum, and once again we can revise the things that we have discussed today. The importance of time means in our daily life various activities which depends the time. Okay, on the basis of time only we are doing various kinds of activities. For example, when you are coming to the school, so that time you have to reach a particular time in the bus point. Okay, so that how you will reach there on the by looking the time. Okay, like that. Then our ancestors, they are using, initially they were considered as some kinds of natural phenomena. If it is repeated in a regular interval of time, on that basis they measure the day, month and year. Okay, then afterwards some innovations are there like sundial and like this kinds of some devices. Then after that means to measure the short span of time, we discovered what? Watch and clock. And this watch and clock which works on the principle of periodic motion. Periodic motion means that the motion which repeats in regular interval of time, and one of the simple device which works on the basis of this periodic motion, that is simple pendulum. And this simple pendulum is a small bob suspended, or it is suspended with a long thread from a rigid support, and this is the point of suspension. Then these are the various terms related with simple pendulum. So that's all about the today's class. Hope you understand about the topic. So you just read the textbook also. Okay, so now we can wind up our class. Thank you and have a nice day.